Barbara. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
So, today we're talking about cultivating creativity and execution in leadership. So, creativity partnered with execution. And I love this topic that we're talking about today. This topic was one of my choosing for sure, because we're going to talk about a concept called soft prep, which I learned about from Ava DuVernay, and I learned that it's a concept that they use in the film industry. But when we shared it with the leaders in our year-long leadership program, it really, really resonated with them. So that's why we wanted to share it with a broader audience. And yeah, thank you for Ava DuVernay for letting me know this concept even exists. And if you don't know Ava and her work, you should for sure. Her most recent project is called Origin, and you can stream it on Hulu and get it in all the other places. If you haven't seen 13th, it's on Netflix. It's so good. She's such a powerful woman and celebrated director, great storyteller, and you definitely should know her work. Before we dive in this topic of preparation, we want to ask you, our audience, to consider, do you spend time thinking creatively in your role on a regular basis? Or do you just jump into the doing of things?
Great question. And in traditional thinking, so often, because the doing is so connected to the goal achievement, that mindset of going right there, the idea of creativity, we often run into being like, I don't have a creative role.
Right.
That's for the art department or PR or marketing or whatever. Creativity is part of our everybody's thinking and process to do things. And it's a step that is often missed, as we'll talk about today. But just that moment of like, are you creative in your role? We meet some really interesting responses, understandable responses. I remember for years we were, working with leaders to understand taking time for strategic thinking
Right.
before doing. And we're really talking today about creativity, innovation, like allowing your thinking to be applied in different ways. So I know I'm going
The
on,
space
and
for
please
thinking, and I
carry
love
forward.
thank you for the reminder, Barbara, that
Mm.
outside of roles that we might traditionally just automatically think, yes, this is a creative role. I guess in my time in working with entrepreneurial teams and their businesses, which has been this past decade, I've definitely met numerous people that have roles that like I wouldn't think of as creative. I would say like finance people, accountants, those kinds of business thinkers. I wouldn't previously have thought of them as creative.
Yes.
And yet there's something you cannot deny when you see somebody who's really good at numbers and metrics and business and all of that, and they're laying out their thinking and the way that they can play with and manipulate numbers to tell stories and paint pictures for people. That is creative genius too. It's
Yes.
not a creative genius that I have, but when they're in that zone, that's their creative genius, right? Um,
Hmm.
so everybody, no matter your role, you can have this creative genius you tap into. And this concept that we're going to introduce, or we are introducing today, or the difference between, there's two types of preparation and how to think about them. One called soft prep, which is the time before the doing. It's the time and space to breathe and let your creativity flow, right? Like this is the time where you might look at other people's ad campaigns and see what they're doing, and just kind of be paying attention to things out there before you're digesting it and making your own plan, right? So it's the time before the doing. And yeah, and the leaders in our year-long program, they loved this concept of soft prep. I'm just gonna, because I have the definition that I got from Ava
Hmm.
here on the slide. I'm just going to share that here. So soft prep is the initial phase of an idea exploration and creative development. It's everything you need to do to get prepared. It's the period where you nourish the idea. It's the
Mhm.
creative phase, right? So I have here, as a film director, Ava spoke about, it's the dreaming phase. It's reading the book, watching other movies, talking about different films, right? But this can apply to all roles. What would be creativity and soft prep time in your role? I just want you to think about that. What is soft prep for your role? Yeah. And basically, we want to give you this concept and then have you thinking about, before you jump into the doing and the hard prep, which is more now we're executing the project. We have the timelines, the milestones. We know what we're doing. Now we're putting things in place and we're executing. Before that, how do you create this space and permission for soft prep and creativity in your team? And for the CEOs and business owners, I don't want you to be worried. Like, I don't know, I don't want to just pay my team to be creative. I
Right.
need them to do the things.
Yeah.
I
Well,
want
Heather, that's
it's your
a good
business, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
good point, because we often think of the creativity happens, and it does, at the time of visioning, right? At the spark of the new idea. And that definitely is a creative, innovative time. And
Mm.
then if things are going well within a company and organization, that spark gets presented and thought through a little bit before it becomes presented to the team to the level of, hey, we're going to move forward with this project, right? So there's different levels that comes, but we're even talking about, okay, so now, we're going to do something and, get those goals of that this spark of idea, creative idea came down into the company. But at this moment, this is about resource. When you talk about filming, it's like watching somebody else's film, reading a book, researching topics, right? Like there's a lot of soft prep that comes in. Sometimes an author would be like, okay, I'm going to write a book and it takes place in the medieval times. So okay, then I need to get more familiar with the medieval times before I can write my script, write my manuscript. Like there's a soft prep time, and now we're taking that down into the business level.
I had an example I wanted to specifically share before we get too much further. That there was a leader who took this and it inspired her with her marketing team to set a specific meeting every quarter. So this wasn't every week or even every month, but every business quarter, a brainstorming creative meeting where so we did promise some practical tips today for blending this idea of creativity and innovation in your business with structure. And so like how you can add this to your business and get the creative innovative ideas of your team more, which is a tremendous asset, and then have it work within the structure of your business. So I wanted to give that example of a marketing director that I coached who got inspired to then have a brainstorming meeting. And this meeting was on the calendar, and the team knew that the container of this meeting is like, let's throw the spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. Let's bring our fun ideas, our wild ideas. There's no bad ideas. Let's just get creative together and kind of, strengthen that muscle of just thinking creatively together.
Yeah. And I love that example, and people have found that very successful. And one of the most important things is framing that time up. So this is the time of just creative thinking. We don't have to anchor in how we're going to do it and what resources yet. Like that's that second step.
Mhm.
And the other thing, when thinking of tips or things, I think as you come forward to, instead of jumping right into what they call the hard prep, in filming, right? The soft prep stage gets jumped over a lot, but that it's that pause to ask some questions. Like what comes to my mind is, what's different about this? What's different about what we're going for in the end result that I might approach this differently? Is there another way to be thinking about this? So when you start looking for what's changed, what's different, you can start getting out of, my automatic thinking that puts me into, well, I'm just going to jump into this doing because this is how I always approach everything and I've been successful. Yes, and maybe there's more that you could take, innovation possibilities, potentials that get missed on this before you move forward into the structure and the actual doing stage. So that soft prep. So one of the questions is, what's new or different about this? Is there some examples that might be for short term looking at this and long term looking at this that may give me some expanded approach to this?
And I think what we found through leaders and teams that we work with is that team members, they need the permission, or it's so freeing to get the permission to have the idea that no, you're supposed to think creatively. Why am I having such a weird day to have a hard time with that word? Like, because it's such an important word topic.
It's just what we're talking about today.
Yeah, creativity. Um, but like, people need permission to get out of just the automatic pilot task, do. I just do. I don't ask questions. I get all the tasks done. That's winning in my role, right? People are conditioned to think that way. And yet, to give businesses a competitive advantage in today's market, we actually need more human innovation, creativity, and collaboration. And your team needs to know that you want their creativity in the business, that they can have permission to go investigate, like, hey, oh, what are people doing for memberships? What are people doing for engagement right now? Just go absorb a bunch of things. Now, sometimes this happens, when businesses send their clients to special big live events, right? And just go find out what's happening, right? But we want you to bring this into your business and into your team on a more regular basis, this permission to please take some space to be creative. Because the thing is, too, and everyone's probably already heard me say this before, but creativity doesn't come naturally in the space of do, of that just checking things off of a to-do list. Creativity needs some spaciousness.
Yeah. And why this is so important for team members at all levels in the organization is because they carry some essential knowledge. They are a very valuable resource about your business, your clients, your history, really understanding the defining, like just because they're working in the team, they have this knowledge that when they're having the opportunity to do creative thinking and research and collaborative, I call them collaborative think tanks together, right? It's because they are the people most informed about your branding, your values that you're putting into, form within your work. For producing whatever it is, products or services. There's an essential piece of empowering your team members, all levels of team, what their roles are, from C-suite to functional team members, part-time, full-time. If they're engaged in your business, in doing in your business, then they have vital information to add in this creative thinking that your business needs. Your business needs this. So it really is an important piece. And if we talk about one of the essential things about attracting good talent and keeping good talent, developing good talent in your team, right, is wanting them to be engaged. And this is really one way all of us humans need to have that opportunity, that spaciousness that you're talking about, Heather, to be engaging for purpose and meaning in the work we're doing. Not everybody would vocalize that that was an important need for them, but it's human nature.
Mhm.
Studies have shown time and again, and so often When things are not going well in a team, we can look around and see a lack of engagement. And it's not like, well, they just have to work harder. No, we need to bring the opportunity for creativity into their work so they can engage more and contribute at higher levels for those goals.
The other thing I wanted to add to get your thinking around for everyone, Barbara, I was thinking about the CEO, business owner, visionary role, and how in the earlier stages of entrepreneurial companies, they have a little more spaciousness and are more immediately, I think, connected to their creativity and their vision, and it births a business. And then
Mhm.
as the business goes on and they have a team and they have all of these things that the business requires and asks of them on a regular basis, CEOs can also lose connection to their own creativity, and even though they're in charge, they can get disconnected and maybe need to give themselves permission for this soft prep time. This time, again, that is the time where we nurture the creative soil of the idea. We're not moving forward into executing the idea. We're having a seed of an idea and we're allowing ourselves to stay with that energy, kind of lean into it, investigate the world, let our creative juices flow. And I want to invite the CEOs and business owners too to check in with themselves as well and say, do you get time for this soft prep and creative visioning in your role today? And
Mhm.
if not, where can you create the space for that?
Yeah, yeah, it really is, as I used the word before, vital. It's essential. And often as businesses get established, and now you've got a good running business, we talk about getting infrastructure and team development and people in clear roles. All of that's important. And one of the stages of business that is often missed is getting to that steady state where your business is growing. It's like a garden growing. You can't force the seed to blossom, right? There's a process, and businesses have a certain process too. I say this because the mindset of growing the business, it kind of like, I built the business, now we got to grow it. People skip that and go to, we now have to scale it. And there's just an extra push of scaling, which ends up really pushing on the doing, which is a good thing. And you can definitely scale a business. But if you push that too soon and it's not really growing in a healthy way, then your scaling skips all this creative innovation and you can get some fast growth, but it may not be sustainable.
Because it won't have a foundation or infrastructure underneath it.
Yeah, and part of that foundation and infrastructure, roles, systems, and processes, yes, but it's also a team that is thinking critically, thinking creatively, understanding the branding and the purpose of the tasks that they're doing that make that a good, healthy soil for a business to grow in. If I stay
Yeah.
with my garden there, and we go for scaling. And again, I'm all for scaling.
Yes.
Nobody doesn't
We
want to
want
do that.
successful businesses.
Right. But the steps that are needed for scaling need, as you said, a foundation. And I'm just going to call it a steady state of growth business that allows for those areas where you can say, this is ready now. It's ripe for scaling. Then you take those innovative, achievable goals and methods to get there. And you're going to find not only to get fast success, but sustainable success. So we go back to needing this creative innovation, creativity throughout the team, your team, to keep them engaged at all levels and contributing this essential ingredient that your business needs. And leaders need that, your team members need that to be satisfied, to be fulfilled in meaning and purpose, and will find that they will be growing and learning and achieving and becoming more of a cohesive team through that creative spirit.
And I think when we can also find ways to have collaborative think tank time within the company where the team and leadership get to think creativity,
Creatively.
Creatively, thank you,
Creatively.
together, we can, that's a great use of a team retreat. It's not just rolling out the strategic plan, but let's have some fun space, some creative space, some play space together, because it fuels all of us for this thing that
Mhm.
we're a part of in this business together, that we are birthing products and services, and bringing this vision to life that continues to evolve, expand, and meet the needs of our clients, right? Let's cultivate some space for creativity. That's the invitation. And please look and consider inside of your role or your business today, is there space? Do we have any space? Or are we just busy going from point A to point B constantly, getting through that to do list constantly? And if so, is there a way that you can add some pause, some team creative space, some individual creative time into your day, into your week, into your month, and into your business? Because this is a time in business. I know everyone is very excited about all the many contributions that AI can bring and help us in growing our business. But AI works best with creative, innovative human thinking in partnership.
I was going to say some of the leaders that I'm coaching right now that are really, working with AI to bring some benefits into their companies, they're finding it very creatively satisfying to be innovating with this new tool. And that's the approach that's going to really drive success. So, if this is a topic that's catching your attention, we really want to invite you that, explore these questions. And if you'd like to take it further, there is a link below for you to jump on a discovery call with us. And these kind of topics and exploring what does this mean for your role, for your company, for your success, we invite you to join us into a discovery call. It's complimentary, and we love to explore more individually how this might work for you.
Yeah. So as you said, great. I love that, Barbara. It's not a sales call, it's an opportunity. And Barbara and I love what we do. And every time we get to talk to one of you amazing leaders out there, it helps us be more creative and innovative in what we do. So we'd love, love, love to connect with you. And thank you for your time and attention today. I hope that this concept, if this concept spoke to you, I'm just going to remind you of it real quick as we close here. Soft prep, idea exploration, and creative development. It's everything you need to do to get prepared. It's a period where you nourish the idea. So, whatever that means for you, we invite you to bring that into how you approach your role and how you approach your team. And please, whether you hop on a discovery or call or not, if you try this out, let us know how it's going for you. We'd love to hear it. And we wish you a lot of success. Thank you for being here with me today, Barbara. And everyone, have
Take
a
care,
great rest
everybody.
of your day. Bye.